Hi world, my name is Katerina and I am here to tell you my story. I am a 50-year-old and I was a vegetarian turned whole food plant-based vegan for a long time. And now I'm a carnivore. And you might be wondering, why on earth would somebody leave one of the touted healthiest diets out there to start the liver damaging, kidney damaging, cholesterol raising carnivore diet? And if you're curious to know the reason why or want to follow along on this journey, then I encourage you to subscribe because this ought to be a fun ride. Well, as I previously said, I am 50 years old and I am overweight. I am obese. And I didn't used to be that way. And I often get asked why I would choose to leave what is supposed to be a very healthy diet, a very slimming diet, to move over to the dreaded kidney destroying, liver destroying, and cholesterol annihilating carnivore diet. And I have to even ask myself that sometimes because it is very flabbergasting to me that I'm even here. I wasn't always obese though. When I was young, I was in the Army and I was always very skinny, very in shape. I mean, I was paid to be and I enjoyed it. But as the years went on, health conditions surfaced, kids having all of these things that I will get into more later. I started putting on weight and could never get it off. I have been through the horrid binge eating cycles of calorie restricting, eating everything in sight, calorie restricting, eating everything in sight. I have gone to my doctor. When I first started gaining weight, I would try things like Weight Watchers or Atkins or juice fasts and all of these different things. And while sometimes they would work and I would lose a pound here or there, eventually it would catch up to me and it would come back. But I always yo-yoed back and forth for the longest time until I didn't, until nothing worked. I had my youngest son late in life and had a lot of complications. I ended up having a cesarean. I ended up having my tubes tied after. And then years down the road, a hysterectomy. And again, those are all stories for another time. But I had a lot of health conditions, some undiagnosed autoimmune disorders, petechiae covering my body. I had elevated CRPs at times, cholesterol 800, and I'm not joking, sometimes so high that they couldn't measure the other cholesterol numbers because they were so high. I've been in the hospital for severe back pain and spasms. I've been unable to walk. I've been on a walker. I've been on a cane. I have a lot of things going on, a lot of female issues, and like I said, those are things that, I'll get into later as things progress. But a few months ago, I hit my highest weight ever, which is 235 pounds. I am 5'6", so that puts me in a very high BMI. Every time I would go to the doctor, they would constantly tell me to watch what I eat, calorie restrict. I was also have severe IBS and stomach issues, these weird pains in my lower, left area that, we thought was our spleen or my spleen. And I mean, one year I had so many CAT scans, MRIs, and x-rays that I had almost the maximum that you could have in a period of time. So a lot of undiagnosed things. I'm pretty certain that my doctors probably think that I am cuckoo, but I was consistently feeling sicker and sicker. I wasn't sleeping. I started having anxiety and panic attacks, which I would never ever had my whole life. and I would go to the doctor for help, and they always blamed everything on my weight and told me if I would just lose a few pounds or lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds, I wouldn't have all these problems. And maybe that's true. I don't know. A couple months ago, I realized that I can't go do anything anymore. I can hardly get off the couch. My back hurts so bad. Some days I can't walk. Exercising is painful. I was, watching everything that I ate very carefully, and yet here I was, seemingly every month, putting on a couple more pounds, a couple more pounds, a couple more pounds. I would go talk to people about it. They would tell me that it is my willpower, that it's me. I need to count calories, restrict portions, learn to say no. I even had a doctor tell me one time to put the bag of Cheetos down and get up off the couch, as if I was sitting there eating a bag of Cheetos on the couch. It was the most hurtful, arrogant thing I think that I had ever happened in a medical visit, to just assume that I was doing that and not trying everything that I could to lose weight. But those type of things that happened would then cause me to bury my feelings in food. All of these things and the things that people were saying to me and how I was feeling was putting me in severe depression. And of course, that doesn't help anything. And so I would binge eat. I would come home and bury all my feelings in food, some kind of something that was delicious and no good for me. And then I would beat myself up, because how could I do that? And tomorrow I'm going to start over. And then tomorrow would come and I would have a headache, or my back would hurt really bad, and today's not the day to start over. And so I had this horrendous cycle of binge eating, beating myself up, binge eating, beating myself up. And I realized that that wasn't my only problem, though. It was also, I believe, the food that I was eating, but didn't really know any better at the time. So as I was saying, a couple months ago, I went to my doctor and I begged her to help me, to do something, to send me to a nutritionist, to do something. And she ran a bunch of tests for me, and she was concerned for me and did come to the conclusion that I was insulin resistant. And she wanted to put me on Wegovy or Ozempic, but first off, my insurance doesn't cover those anyways. And on top of that, they haven't been around long enough for me to really super feel comfortable with it. But you know what? I was desperate, and I would have done it had I could have, I think. And in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't. But I also asked to be referred to a nutritionist, and she did, but I never got a call. So I followed up, and they informed me that they weren't going to send me to a nutritionist because I didn't have diabetes. And diabetes was the only conditions or whatever that the nutritionists currently were seeing. Now, I was pre-diabetic. I have high blood pressure. I have SVT, which I don't know if that was something just diet related or whatever, but I do take medication for it currently. I never had it before. My body's covered in petechia. We still don't know what that is, but I have, a whole lot of underlying health conditions, but because I wasn't actually diabetic, they wouldn't see me. So I asked my doctor what she thought I should do, and her hands are tied. Basically, she said, there's nothing I can do for you. You're going to need to go find somebody out in the community that takes your insurance, or maybe doesn't take your insurance, and you need to just do that. We can't help you here. And that was so frustrating to me, because she was my doctor, and she was the person that I thought that I could trust with my health. And I understand that that's not their job. They're not nutritionists. They don't go to nutritionist school in medical school. And maybe they just don't know. So that was my all-time low. I sat on the couch that night and I cried, and I still cry about it sometimes because I'm all alone in this and I don't know what to do. I happened to be scrolling through my YouTube feed and sitting on the couch, basically just giving up, just assuming that I'm going to die. That was my wake-up call. I'm going to die because my heart is struggling. I can't do anything. I can't exercise. and I happened to Google or search out insulin resistance. Just a futile effort. And there was all of these things that they were showing, keto, and I had tried keto many, many years ago, long before I became a vegetarian. I had tried keto back when those MLM supplements were really big, and one of my friends was pushing them, and I was eating all the wrong things, and I gained up more weight, and my cholesterol really got bad, and it was no good. I felt horrible. So I didn't really want to try keto again. I thought that this was just going to be a big mistake, but I was at my wit's end. This was it. I had to do something. So that weekend, I took myself to the store, I bought some ground beef, I got some butter, I got a few other things, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and start. And I didn't know what I was doing. But as I was going through my YouTube feed, I ran across this video that actually was Dr. Ken Berry. He had a video about insulin resistance and the carnivore diet. And I was like, I don't think I could do just meat. I hadn't been eating meat. It was making me really sick. Every time I ate it, I felt horrible because I hadn't been eating it for so many years. But I watched the video, and then I watched another and another and another. And I'm not saying that I'm crediting him for my path forward, but he certainly did make a big impression. That was a couple weeks ago. I started doing the boringest thing you can imagine, ground beef and butter. I didn't know what else to do. Recipe books were confusing to me. I never had to worry about that. I just went to the produce department and grabbed whatever I wanted to eat. I didn't understand macros. I still don't understand macros. I didn't understand any of it, how much I was supposed to eat. I just ate until I was full. And then again, consequently had stomach aches and stuff and diarrhea and that type of stuff for a while. But things got better, and out of just giggles, I stepped on the scale one day, and I went from 235 to 232. I was like, well, that was water for sure, because I'm going to the bathroom 1,000 times a day. And then a couple days later, 230, 229, 228, 227. It just kept going down, and it kept going down. And I weighed myself this morning, and I weighed myself yesterday and the day before that, and I was 217 pounds. Now, is most of that water? Pretty positive that it is. But you know what? I don't care. It's working. For the first time in 10 years, something is working. And it's moving slowly, and I have a lot of energy, and I am not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. This is the long haul. For once, I can get up and think, you know what? I just might be able to do this. And it's been a long time since I thought that. So I know this was a super long story, and it is just a little small amount of my background. I discovered in watching all of these videos that the carnivore diet can help with a lot of autoimmune and IBS and all of these other conditions that I do currently suffer from. Not to mention that weight loss is just a happy side effect of all of this. And so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start this journey. I'm going to document it every step of the way. I have about 50 some odd pounds to lose still. And I thought that maybe there was somebody else out there that could relate to what I was going through. I know that I don't have hundreds of pounds to lose, but that doesn't make it any less hard for me. It's just a different journey. And if you can relate, or if you are just starting out, or even if you have advice, please message me, comment, follow. Join me. I'll cheer you on if you'll cheer me on, and together we can do this. I just want to not do this alone. I've been alone for so long in this journey, and I know what it feels like. So if this is you, if you can relate, subscribe, follow, comment, share, whatever it is that you do, and join me, help me, be my cheerleader, and I'll be yours. So until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful day, and keep eating that meat.